All right, welcome to Marketing RV as we continue part 2 from Antonella's Italian Kitchen.
Wait, you jumped right into that. Dwayne's sitting all the way over there.
That's okay because we're going to bring him in.
You gotta give the man a heads up.
It's okay because we're going to talk first. We always do.
God, really?
You're just trying to get away from talking.
Can I mute my mic so I can eat this hoagie?
You can totally just eat. Don't bother muting the mic. Just don't chew into the microphone.
I won't chew into the mic. All right.
So we have a couple of people that come out to see us when we're on location, which is every time we podcast. And every time we podcast changes week to every other week or so. So you got to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Go to marketingrv.com. and find out where you can download all the podcasts. We really want you on Apple iTunes. We want you to give us a 5-star rating there, but we're on all the platforms where you can find podcasts. Okay, that's the promotion. Marketing RV, we're always talking marketing, but we always talk about other stuff too. And especially when we're at a restaurant, we interview the managers or the owners like we did at Antonella's with Ray and Antonella. We had them on last week. Check that podcast out. Dwayne Wimmer is here. Yeah, sure, I'll do a little more red wine. I'm already buzzing a little bit. Okay, that's enough right there.
Ranalli's drinking wine. We're in trouble.
And I go from happy to sleep in like 2 seconds. And Suzanne Williams is here. She's a friend of mine who's also a longtime graphic artist. So
hey, Suzanne.
But Dwayne, it's interesting because I reached out to Dwayne Wimmer, who has Vertex Fitness located in Bryn Mawr as well. I'm going to need you to talk like right into that microphone, Dwayne. I met Dwayne years ago through a mutual friend. We're friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, all that. I posted several months ago in March. I somehow woke up one day with this sciatica, and it was a killer. So I post on Facebook because that's where I get the best information. The heck with Google. Friends of friends and all are willing to give you any advice. And I got a laundry list of advice what to do with the sciatica. I mean, my left leg was just numb. It was painful. This thing was debilitating for several weeks.
Sounds like recording a podcast with you from my perspective.
Oh, you know what? That's just wrong.
Sorry, go ahead.
That is just
continue
wrong.
on. I'm going to finish this hoagie.
Yeah, you eat. Oh, my God. Give him another glass of wine. So I had immediately tried a chiropractor, and I get all this advice from everybody. CBD oil, try this cream, that cream, go to an acupuncture, try this. And I really tried most of the advice I was given. And I was due to go to get a shot of cortisone. I was already on a steroid. That didn't do anything. Dwayne sent me a screenshot of a book, and he said, get this book, and it's called Crooked. And I forget the subtitle.
Something about the myths of back pain or
the industry, yes.
Yeah, the undermining of the back pain industry.
Yeah, something like that. But it was an investigative reporter that wrote it, and she went out and she did a thorough investigation into the back pain industry. And so the day it came was the day before I was to get my cortisone shot, and I'm not able to sleep at night, so I'm reading this book in the middle of the night, and I'm like, holy crap, I am not going to get that cortisone shot tomorrow. It's crazy, And so I'm really taking in this book, and I tell Dwayne, your advice was the best I've gotten because nothing else has worked. And I said, why don't you come out to our show? Because I want to show you my appreciation. At least we can plug Vertex Fitness and learn a little bit more about what you do and how you market that. Because we're always talking about food. Even we sometimes talk about diets. Well, you do in your other podcast, Barbells.
I try not while I'm drinking beer.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm talking about diets while I drink beer, yeah.
So, Dwayne, tell us about Vertex Fitness. How long have you been there?
No.
No, can't go there?
No.
Why?
No, because I think you at least have to tell the story about how you connected us and didn't realize we knew each other.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we could get to that.
Like,
Are you done eating? Are we good to talk?
No, I didn't even. No, I'm good to talk for a minute, but I'm going back and getting another piece of that because that shit was good. It was.
So I invited Dwayne on to the show, and when he said he would, I then emailed him to let him know when we were going to be recording, and I copied Gene on the email. So hey guys, you want to meet each other? Dwayne owns Vertex. Gene does a podcast called Barbells and
Brews. Brews.
Sorry.
Well, if they search for the other one, they ain't going to find it. So you got to give the right one. That's like me saying, get Potato Wars. Buy our book, Potato Wars. Right? Like, it's not Potato Wars, it's Gravy Wars.
Now somebody's going to put that book out.
Oh.
Well, that'd be funny.
Do it.
And Gene, writes back in his smart alecky way, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess you guys already know each other. So how do you know each other?
I've known Dwayne we were trying to figure it out in the beginning because it's got to be
probably close to 10 years.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It has to be that long. So I feel like we ran into each other at some kind of networking event. We used to do an event called the Ultimate Networking.
Ultimate Networking, and then there was Guys Night Out.
And then now whatever Brian Cronin's running.
Brian Cronin's running.
Brian Cronin runs an event called Come Have Some Beers With Us.
Yeah.
Right? Which is great. It's the greatest networking event.
Anything that, if there's food or alcohol, you're good.
What do they say the way to a man's heart is?
Through his stomach.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Is this like you're surprised after all this time?
No, I'm not surprised at all. Well, my husband, it wasn't through his stomach. You know the story there.
Oh, take it easy.
Right? No. Oh, my God. Your mind goes to a horrible place. I told you the story. I'll tell it again real quickly.
You better hurry up
because
people are thinking bad things.
Oh, my God. Because you planted bad things.
You just said it wasn't through his heart.
I meet my non-Italian husband. I'm all very, very eager to impress him. I make a pot of gravy. I invite him over. We're dating. And I'm looking like for this, reaction like it's the best thing he's ever tasted ever in his life. And he's eating, no reaction. I said, so how do you like the meatballs? Oh, they're fine, thank you. Yours, Wawa's, I don't know the difference. You know what? Take a knife and stab me in the heart.
Yours, to an Italian woman, yours, Wawa's, I don't know the difference?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And Bob's the king. I do love Bob.
Bob is the king. Everybody loves Bob.
He's the chillest. Like, he just comes out, sits next to you, has a beer, engages in conversation, doesn't bother you. Like, he's a great dude.
He is. He's awesome. Yeah. He's terrific. But let's talk about Vertex Fitness.
So Dwayne and I have known each other for a while, and I know Dwayne actually trains a lot of people from probably from that networking thing. I know Gus and Ashley still go. Like, we talk about these people. But so I'm interested to hear myself where Vertex came from. So there's got to be look, you're smirking, so that's a good question. I'm glad.
It's an interesting story. Actually, we were called Apex Fitness first.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be at the beginning of the alphabet when people find you.
Makes sense.
And then there was a supplement company that had Apex Fitness as their name, and they politely sent this nice little letter from their
from
lawyer.
An attorney, right? Yeah. Saying, asked you nicely.
Nicely, you need to stop using that name. So they put a deadline on it. By this point, you need to stop using the name. So I kept trying to come up with a name. I didn't want to use my name. I wanted it to be its own entity.
Sure.
And then one of my clients came up with Vertex. It sounded like Apex and means the same thing. It just wasn't at the beginning of the alphabet anymore. But we had already been branding our name. The logo stayed the same. It just switched out a couple letters, and that's it.
So you took the A, you flipped it out upside down, got a V. I get it.
And I'm also doing a little research.
Yeah, we've been around since 2001.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. What did you do prior to that? Were you always in the
I've been in the fitness industry pretty much since I graduated from college.
Oh, okay.
Right prior to Vertex, I was an independent contractor at a small studio in Bryn Mawr, which I started when I was a strength coach at Villanova. Mm-hmm. I was there in the late 90s as strength coach for all the athletic teams.
How about that?
And then I was I was an assistant, so we didn't make much money. So on the side, we did this personal training in between teams and things like that to make money.
Makes sense.
And then I built my client base into personal training to a point where it didn't make sense to spend all the hours as a strength coach cutting into my ability to make more money in the personal training. And that's really where my love was anyway. I tried the strength and conditioning in the athletics, and it was really, really interesting. And I just talked about this a little bit on a TV interview that I was on a few weeks ago. Athletes at Division I have always been great athletes. They were basically born with the ability to do whatever they do.
Yep.
They never had to work hard. So I really wasn't into training them that much because it was like pulling teeth, getting people to actually work hard and get better at what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So I ended up gravitating to the walk-ons because they were the ones who really wanted to work. They wanted to prove themselves. And I really enjoyed that. But I came from the fitness end of things in the health clubs and did personal training in health clubs. And it was more like training the walk-ons than the star athletes. So I ended up, I dipped my toes in the water of the strength and conditioning and realized I really enjoyed working with the general public a lot better because most of them don't know anything about it, and you're teaching them along the way, and they're just absorbing everything you're giving them, and they get better results because they're actually doing what you ask them to do.
Yeah, that middle crowd that's sick and tired of not being the jock, right? They're close enough. But so I'm actually looking at this. I think, listen to what you're talking about. It makes a lot of sense. And I'm looking, and I kind of think this is kind of ironic. But the definition of vertex is the highest point, the top with the apex. Mm-hmm. So you went from apex to vertex. Mm-hmm. Did you know that was apex was in the definition of vertex?
Well, they're pretty much synonymous. They mean basically the same thing.
Okay.
So when we came up with that name, that was just the bonus that it was actually means the same thing.
So there's two things that I want to get into because I've known Dwayne for a little bit. His philosophy on fitness is different, and it's interesting. So I want to dig into that. And just that fast, I forgot what the second thing was.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So tell us your philosophy on fitness, Dwayne.
And I'll come up with the second question. Don't worry.
Well, first of all,
It's a little ADD.
the first part about it is that you should never get hurt exercising.
Okay.
If what you're doing is going to actually create a problem, don't do it.
So there's no truth to the no pain, no gain?
No, it shouldn't be painful.
Okay.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
That's
anything that's going to create change is going to be uncomfortable.
That's true in
That's
anything
a really
in
good,
life.
that's a really
right?
good way to put it. Yep.
So it's going to be uncomfortable. It should never be painful. So you should never get hurt exercising. Exercising is something that's supposed to enhance your health,
Okay.
not prohibit you from producing things in everyday life and moving around and so on. It should be something that over time gives you a stimulus so your body has a reason to get stronger, better, healthier, and so on. So that's the first underlying thing about what we do is I will do possibly a slightly less productive exercise because the risk of injury is much less.
Okay.
So you can't get healthier while you're hurt.
Okay.
So
You can get the exact opposite of healthy when you're hurt, right? And it upsets people, especially if you're dealing with folks who are not walk-on athletes, guys like me who are 44. I have a propensity to get heavy because I like to eat and drink. If I was out of being able to work out, I would blow up.
Well, you would blow up for more than one reason. Probably because first of all, then there's more and more research coming out about this. Exercise, believe it or not, does not spend as many calories as people think it does.
All right.
Okay, so in one of our sessions, and our sessions are very, very intense. Okay, we don't get me wrong, we still work very, very hard.
What are we talking? 30 minutes, 60 minutes?
We're working less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
We're working your whole body in less than 30 minutes.
I like it.
And you're in and out, and you're done. And you will. It's a stimulus to create change. Okay? But in that 30 minutes, you're working much harder than most people do in an hour in a health club. But even in that intense 30 minutes, you're only spending maybe 300 to 400 calories at most. And if you really look at how many calories are in food, if you're really looking to lose weight, you just eat less.
That's 4 French fries.
Everybody says
400 calories is 4 French fries.
It's probably a little more than that, but
Close though.
But my point is that when it comes to exercise, you do it for what it's really good for. And one of the things it's not good for is it's not a great weight loss tool. And so if people are actually looking to lose weight, I tell them, don't even worry about how many calories you're spending exercising. Just worry about what you're putting in.
Worry about the input, not the...
You're never going to out-exercise your diet.
Right.
Well, here's an interesting part, and the second part of this that I was kidding when I said I didn't remember was the diet part, because Dwayne doesn't subscribe to diet. So
Who's he kidding that he was kidding? You just remembered.
No, I didn't. I was teasing you.
When I say I don't subscribe to diets, I'm not a dietitian.
Right.
Legally, someone in my position is not allowed to hand you and give you a prescription or a plan of food because I'm not trained to do so.
Right.
Now, that being said, I guarantee you go out and talk to a trainer, and most of them will give you some type of eating plan.
Right.
And if anybody gets hurt, or not hurt, but sick, or or worse, they're liable.
Right.
Because they're not even They're not trained for that.
So is there a program that you would recommend as far as diets go?
I recommend going to see a registered dietitian.
There you go.
Okay.
So smart.
I
can tell you
do-
how to save on your taxes, but you certainly want a tax accountant.
Yeah.
What I do, you wouldn't want to get your registered dietitian to tell you how to exercise.
I got you.
Okay, you don't want to go to an eye surgeon about your knee.
Right.
So I do strength training. I help people get stronger. And again, I go back to research. More and more research is showing that you're going to do greater changes or have greater changes in your body if you're strengthening the muscles.
I have several questions. What is your theory on cardio for weight loss? You know, people want to lose weight, they start running. You don't think that's
No. It's thermodynamics is a law. So it comes down to energy.
okay.
If you can actually get fatter doing cardio.
Really?
Let me explain.
I'm trying to look for all excuses
Wait.
to justify
Hold on. I
me
just
not
filled up
doing
my wine, but
anything.
yes, please do explain that. Yes.
So you can get fatter doing cardio because if you're doing a lot of cardio, your body's a survival mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a lot of work, and when you're doing cardio, you're not using a lot of muscle, your body's going to actually get rid of the muscle that you don't need
Oh, boy.
to do the work you're doing if you're doing a lot of work. So you'll maintain the same body weight, but you'll lose lean tissue, which is your muscle, and you'll maintain fat because your body wants to be able to survive doing the work you're doing, and it doesn't need the muscle to do that. It needs
needs the
energy, and then your body stores the energy as fat. So you can actually get fatter doing too much cardio.
Well, what do you say to the theory that if you strength train, if you do weights and whatnot, and you build up muscle, once you stop, it turns to fat. It's flab.
Does an apple ever turn into an orange?
That's a great way to look at it.
If I could justify it, it does.
Depends on if I'm doing mushrooms or not. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it turns into a donkey.
Oh, relish
So-
the thought.
So the fact is muscle will never turn into fat, and fat will never turn into muscle.
Okay.
You may lose fat and gain muscle, gain fat, lose muscle, but one doesn't turn into another.
All right, as I've aged, I've gotten what my brother likes to call cafeteria lady arms, the biceps, okay? You know what I'm talking about? Because the cafeteria lady, you would love my
I
brother.
like your brother. I
would
already
love
do.
him.
I don't know him. I really like
the
him.
two of you would just rip me
That's
apart.
hilarious.
And so, here I am, well into my 30s, and I got these cafeteria.
Don't make me
Sorry.
spit my
What-
drink on the. No, you know I love you. I like to tease you because it's fun fodder. But
So I used to have skinny arms. I know how to work out my stomach. How the heck do you get your arms thinner again, especially around the bicep area? Do I have to lift weights?
Well,
I don't want to look like
there's
Arnold
a couple-
Schwarzenegger.
there's
You know
a
what I
couple
mean?
A couple things we have to address here. First of all, as we age, our body changes.
Yeah, I don't
so
like
we're
this.
not going to. It just happens.
Yeah.
you can't control it. There's nothing you can do about it.
If you add some muscle and lose some body fat,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you will change the shape of your arms.
Okay.
As we age, our skin loses its elasticity.
Yeah.
So as you lose body fat and you get smaller, you're still going to have some loose skin there.
Sure.
Yeah, let me preface this. I always tell people the truth.
Yeah.
I like to educate them. I
Sure.
don't like to give them fluff
Right.
or mislead them, which is a whole nother segment we can talk about in our industry, misleading people.
Yep.
But the third thing is that it's not, you're not going to spot reduce. You can't work your arms to death and think that you're going to lose fat on your arms.
Really? You can't target an area?
Yeah,
You
that
can
makes sense.
target your
That makes
area
sense.
of getting stronger, but when you drive your car, you can't take gas out of the center of the gas tank and not the corners. It's energy throughout your whole body.
Makes
Gotcha.
total sense.
Yeah.
It really
So
does make sense.
You're not going to say work your arms to death and get better looking arms by losing the body fat on your arms. You might get more definition because you added a little bit of muscle there.
So basically, I got to get used to the way the arms look. They're thick.
You want to know what the Gene Volpe diet plan is? This is what you need to do.
Eat more hoagies.
No, drink tons of water, do a shit ton of cocaine, and just walk.
Yeah, I've
None of that
never
stuff?
touched an illicit drug, and I'm not going to start now, but I will walk, and I do need to drink more water.
But
You just completely.
on top of all of that,
Never mind.
on top of all that, strength training will probably get you better changes in your body
Yeah.
than anything else you can do for yourself. You're
Without
talking about-
making me look like a, bodybuilder. I don't want to
No,
look
you're
like...
not. Listen,
No.
you think overnight you're
Okay.
turning from cafeteria lady to bodybuilder? Don't
I
worry
might
about
look
it.
like the Hulk.
Well, let me ask you this: what if you had two choices, cafeteria lady or bodybuilder? Which would you select? Then don't worry about it.
Lou Ferrigno, I don't know.
Then don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
First of all, you said you never did any illegal drugs. Well, steroids are illegal, and every bodybuilder out there does steroids.
Okay.
So they are, one, they're genetic freaks.
Oh, so I'm
and
not gonna look
two,
like that 'cause I'm not
they
doing
take
steroids. Okay, all right,
so,
cool.
and now you got a third strike against you. You're female. So you're never going to
Don't
put
I
on.
know it.
You're never going to put on a lot of muscle. It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a female bodybuilder with a lot of muscle,
There's something
they're
weird.
Go
doing
lightly.
drugs.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
100% of them.
Yeah.
They're doing drugs. Yes,
Dude.
And I will argue to death.
You
about
just
that.
put that out there.
Yeah,
man.
and
there
without
are some
even
strong
flinching.
women listening
I'm
to
not
this
saying
going,
no.
gonna crush 'em.
I'm saying female bodybuilders who have the male looking
Yeah.
Muscles.
look
Yeah.
and muscles and their jaw is squared off.
Oh, sometimes their necks are thick. That's sad.
They're doing drugs.
Yeah.
Period. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not a professional bodybuilder, male or female, unless you're doing drugs.
Really?
Yes. And even some
Says
of
that
the
with certitude.
the drug-free bodybuilding, you have to be drug-free for a certain period of time. So if I don't know what it is, then they have their own rules and stuff. I have a friend who's a natural bodybuilder who is part of a always drug-free bodybuilding competition. You take those people and stand them next to any bodybuilder,
And you can see the difference, yeah.
They just look like thin versions of average people with definition.
With nice definition.
In their muscles.
So now, I don't know if he's a good salesman, but now I'm encouraged to actually get into good physical fitness.
listen.
Sue's shaking her head. Get over here, Sue.
Truth be told, because I want to. Before we wrap this up, I want to talk to you about what a 30-minute session looks like at Vertex. Right, that's where I want to close it because we're running out of time.
running it. Yeah.
But here's what I would, and I'm curious to watch Dwayne's face as I say it. The most important part to me about physical fitness is not how I look, it's how I feel.
Yeah.
My focus on everything I do is enhanced by 8 million%. By the way, this was not a commercial for cocaine. That was a joke.
I know it was a
I know
joke.
you know it was a joke, but people are listening like, I tried drinking water and cocaine and I
No,
dropped dead.
please
It's your
don't do
fault.
that. Gene's
No,
not
because
advocating.
liability purposes, I'm saying to you right now,
Yeah.
you're an idiot, but not you. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the health aspects, it's you know that when you get into the gym at 8:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
how's the rest of your day go?
Way better.
100% better,
Yeah,
1,000
true.
times percent better.
True.
So
When I was getting up at 5 a.m. and working out,
it's crazy.
Love the day.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. So that said, I wanted to kind of put that thing in there.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that Dwayne's a big dude. He's a big, handsome guy. He looks good. He's strong as hell.
Yeah.
I'll never look like him. So I shouldn't be the guy that says, well, I'm not going to do it because I can't get to what Dwayne looks like. That's not how I roll,
You
right?
need to know that feels good for you.
1,000%. And other aspects of my life operate better because I'm doing things.
Right.
I'm always going to have the dad bod. I got the gut because I like to eat. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
I do. But I'm curious, as we wrap this up, because I've always thought about
Well, I have
it.
another question before we wrap up.
Oh, you want to do it first? I was just going to say, but here's my question, and you can decide to jump over me. 30 minutes in his gym with Dwayne.
What does that look like?
What's it look like?
Before you go there, because we were talking about the book Crooked, about the back pain industry, and how this book talks about how there's so many unnecessary back surgeries, needles. People get more messed up going into some of these treatments than they were before. After the treatment than before the treatment. And I've heard some horror stories actually firsthand from friends of friends and whatnot. So I read this book the night before I'm going to go and get a shot. I call that morning. I can't come for the shot. Not doing it. And the book advocates working through it. That your back pain is usually caused by something else. You need to get in shape. You need to work it out. Don't overdo it. Blah blah blah. When I was back and forth messaging with Dwayne, he said, "By the way, I have that piece of equipment that they recommend in the book. on chapter 11. Well, I'm still not at chapter 11.
Okay.
They mentioned it earlier in the book.
Is that
as
the
well.
upside
Oh,
down
then no.
No?
It's called the MedX Medical Lumbar Extension.
What is that? What does it do?
Basically, it works the muscles about 6 inches of your low back.
Okay.
And it just strengthens the muscles in your low back.
What is it, a machine?
It's a machine you sit in. You actually do the work. It's not doing it for you.
Okay.
And you work a range of motion. At first, obviously, what you're comfortable doing.
Right, and then you increase
you
it.
strengthen through that full range of motion over time. And they've seen amazing results with this. Now, I have 2 versions of this. The medical version of it is, if you buy that new, is over $50,000.
Holy
50?
cow.
50 for one machine that
Wow.
works about 6 inches of your body.
What do you mean the medical version? Is that different?
Then they made a similar movement
Like for the consumer?
for the fitness line, which
Oh.
is only around $7,000.
Oh, so but for a gym still. So not that I would bring it into my house.
I guarantee you won't find it in most gyms.
Right.
One, because they don't know how to use the machine,
Okay.
and 2, most gyms aren't going to spend $7,000 on a back machine.
Sure.
They'll spend $7,000 and get 20 treadmills.
Right.
Right. So let me
Yeah.
ask you, the thing where I don't even know what it's called, but
The inversion.
Yeah, the inversion where you upside
Inversion
down.
table.
Is that something that could help her back?
It probably wouldn't hurt because it just puts your back in
Can't
traction.
do it. No, I'll get sick.
It just puts
Just
your
'cause
back
being
in
upside
traction. And they talk about traction in
Yeah.
the book. a
Yeah.
little
What do
bit.
you think about traction? I was going to ask you that.
From what I've seen, and I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
the liability stuff.
Yeah.
True story.
When you go into traction, all it's doing is releasing some of the tension between the vertebrae.
So you're going to fall back
Hold
into
on, well,
it.
for our
Not
listeners,
necessarily.
explain what traction is for the
Traction
listeners.
is basically pulling from one end of your spine to the other.
Okay.
To basically lower the pressure between each vertebrae.
Each vertebrae.
And that allows more blood flow and so on and so forth.
Nice.
So the inversion table will basically put you in traction
Naturally.
with your own body weight.
Right.
Like gravity, from gravity.
Right, because you stand up and the gravity naturally, that's why everybody has
Makes
trouble
sense.
in their lower back.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
if you're turned upside down, now your lower back.
People have trouble in their lower back because the forces from below and above come in a meet at basically L4, L5.
Yep.
And that's where everybody has their issues.
Well,
Well,
I
not
have
everybody,
it
most
because I
people.
like hoagies and I'm fat.
So tell us what a typical 30-minute workout looks like in
I love how you
Vertex.
ignore me. It's great. It's like we're married already. It's amazing.
Well, basically, we're going to work your whole body. Now, when I say this, not every workout is going to isolate your biceps and triceps. Because if you're doing what we call compound movements, multiple joint movements, when you're pushing something or pulling something like a bench press or a row or an overhead press or a chin-up, you're using your arms along with your upper torso muscles. So if you're doing a couple compound movements that include your biceps and a couple that include your triceps, it's not necessary to isolate them. That being said, as we graduate and move into multiple different workouts, we will include isolation biceps and triceps into some workouts
Right.
as well. But basically, what we're going to do in 30 minutes is we're going to work your mid-torso, your abdominals. Your low back will be worked at some point, whether it's in combination like a leg press so that the low back is stabilizing your spine, or a hip extension that's doing the same thing. And then in some of the workouts, we do actually put the low back in. So that's the mid-torso. We'll do the lower body. And one of the things people don't realize is most your back pain comes from an imbalance in the muscles of your hips. So
I believe that.
either the front of your hips, your back of your hips, or sides of your hips, inside of your hips. Something's weaker and something's stronger, and then it's pulling on your spine. So what we do is we make sure we strengthen your hips from all the directions.
So the core is huge in a workout, right?
wild.
Core there is no such thing as a core.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
wow. See,
killing me.
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
it up.
wow.
Look it up in your anatomy book.
Wow.
There is no such thing. It's a made-up term by marketers.
How about
And
that?
it
Talk about
works.
marketing. It
Everybody-
does work because I think I got to
everybody
work my
knows what a
core.
core is, but there is no definition of what
Of
a
a
core.
core, yeah. But we know what we're talking about. The
Well,
midsection, the
It
hips.
depends. Some people expand it to, and some people narrow it down. So
Ah.
there is no
Depends on
real
what they're
definition.
selling.
Yes, exactly. And they're not selling apples. Where the only core I know is in an apple.
and not in an orange.
Exactly. But we'll work your abdominals, we'll work your quads, your hamstrings, your chest, your back, your shoulders. We also, especially with some people who have some problems, we'll work your neck muscles.
So you have other trainers at Vertex besides yourself?
Oh, yes,
Yes,
he does.
yes.
I know that for a
It's
fact.
huge.
And-
So how do? Because I'm sold. So how do we find you? Where do we go?
Well, our website is vertexfit.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can call me at 610-525-6604 or email me at dwayne@vertexfit.com.
So for our listeners on the other side of the country, because we have so many listening in California, this is wishful thinking. Throw it out to the universe.
100%.
Would you do any phone consultations with people and provide them with exercises via email or something like that?
That kind of information is really huge in our industry. But again, I think
You need to be there personally, meet the people,
there is
see them.
absolutely no way I could instruct you even close to what I can do in person
Right.
over the phone or via email. It's not like do 6 of these, do 10
Right.
of these. What are these? What do these look like?
And what's proper form?
Yeah.
That's
Right?
exactly
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how what differentiates what I do, even from people who do stuff very similar to what we do at Vertex, is the attention to detail. Every rep, I'm watching every inch of every rep, and I'm going to explain to you how to get into the right position and stay in that position throughout that full range of motion, so that first of all, it's safe. And second, it's efficient. And third, it's effective. And then everything we do is supported by science of exercise.
Listen to what he said real quick. The first thing he came up with
Right.
was safe.
Safe.
He's a good dude.
You know
And
what?
you
And
gotta
I
go see
didn't
him.
mean that as a trick question, but after
No.
I asked it and he started answering, I thought, oh my gosh, this guy's legit. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah.
He's
No,
not
go
trying
see
to
him.
sell
I've known
stuff.
Dwayne for apparently 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's a good dude. Go out and check it out. And I know you'll run into some good people out there that are training with you too that I know personally. Go see them.
vertexfit.com. And you can find the Marketing RV podcast at marketingrv.com.
Yep.
Apple iTunes is where you really want to go download, follow us, give us a 5-star review.
5-star reviews. Don't mix this up with vagina chatter.
Oh, you know what? You really got to, after all this time, you're going to
Listen,
keep
I
bringing-
tell you what, every time we talk to somebody, they're like, I can't believe you slipped that into every episode.
It's
and I
hysterical.
didn't get into part 1. Don't even get into it. We'll talk about it offline.
Oh, Madon.
5-star only. Gene's handsome. Lorraine is old.
Could you come up with something different?
No, it's got to be consistent. People want consistency. And that's what's consistent. So
All right, Gene.
Apple iTunes, give us some love. And people know I love you. You know that,
All
right?
right,
You know
Gene.
that? I know it sounds like I don't, but
All
I love
right,
you.
Gene.
I love you.
All right, ciao.
That was good, dude.